Gary V at Aldar Experts. We're so excited to have him here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. The crowd was super pumped. It was a great moment for us.
Thank you.
I'm going to get straight into it. One of the things that you mentioned during the talk, and actually you saw an opportunity, and it was very clear that real estate brokers are not leveraging the platforms.
Yes.
In 30 seconds, what should they do if they're starting today?
If you're a real estate agent anywhere in the world and you're not producing as much content as humanly possible on every social platform that is relevant today, you are just leaving leads, opportunity, and sales on the table. And you need to maximize, but more importantly, prioritize the output of content at all costs.
Got it. And, one of the interesting things that are happening with AI right now is that there's a lot of videos circulate saying if you're in the service industry, if you're in sales, you're gone. Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't. I think that there's a lot of commodities that are going to be replaced with new technology, but that's always been the case. There's still people that are in the farming business, even though that there's tractors. So do I think the lowest impact output of service could, over the next 15 years, potentially be disrupted by AI? Yes. Do I think tomorrow everyone's out of business because of AI? No. And this is what always happens. When there's new technologies, people get way too ahead of themselves. It takes time, and it will take AI some time. But look, if you're a copywriter and you're not that good at it, and you don't have good ideas, and you're just writing or typing, I think that is a vulnerable thing. But if you're a copywriter who's incredible at ideation, which is really the punchline, you're going to be even more impactful because you're going to have 50 ideas a day that you can get written because the ideas are going to go into the AI and the AI is going to execute it. So you're actually going to be enhanced by AI, not replaced by AI.
And obviously, value is something that plays a great importance theme when it comes to sales, right? Creating value.
Yeah, I think value opens you up to close the deal. I think sales are really predicated on a lot of things, communication, but, when you're actually providing people value, there's a level of trust that is built, which then makes them feel more comfortable to pull the trigger on the sale. And so I think about value all the time.
It's important.
Yeah, I think it's to me, it's the setup, and it's also nice and it's right. And karma is practical. And so, anyone who is selling something, if you're not trying to provide value, if you're selling something you don't believe in, one of the fastest ways to go out of business in the real estate business is selling homes or real estate you don't actually believe in.
No, absolutely. And I love when you develop on your book, stop just asking for the business, start to create content of value that add, insights to your consumers. You don't have to go real estate all the time, right?
Correct. You could also talk about things that have nothing to do with real estate, like sailing and golf and wine and TV shows. But within real estate, there's a lot to provide. If your videos were around information of the school system, if your videos were around the parks and the activities within a 5-mile radius, if your videos were to educate me why this backyard is so much better than the other 70 backyards within the 71 home radius, that's value, not just you should buy this.
Absolutely. In real estate industry, there was not disrupted a lot. So with prop tech now at our door staff, what do you think is the important key elements that is bringing to the table?
Well, I think one of the reasons I'm obsessed with people building personal brand is, I think the Amazons and the Googles and the YouTubes and the Facebook Metas, they're going to have to continue to evolve as businesses. And as maybe advertising revenue or other things may soften, they're just going to go and disrupt the businesses that they're leading generation to.
Sure.
I'm sitting out there yelling at stage saying this stuff is free. It's free for now. If TikTok or YouTube or Facebook Meta or Twitter are in a bind for cash or for more revenue, and they realize people are selling unlimited homes off of their platforms, why wouldn't they just become a new version of Zillow? And so I think people are very naive to the concept of if you are not in control of the relationship with your customer, if you are not a known entity, you are vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And so I highly recommend people build their brand because I don't want them to be vulnerable to everybody in between them and the customer.
Absolutely. I mean, today we launched our first NFT utility token, so the brokers could leverage some benefits by being part of Aldar. We just issued 25, so to make it very exclusive. So what are the applications of Metaverse and NFT that you think you would work well in real estate?
I mean, over time, there's a lot of implications. First of all, just all the contracts that people are writing when they do a deed or title insurance, all of that's going to go on the blockchain. There's no reason to pay all those fees. It's going to disrupt this industry quite a bit. As far as NFTs, the way you executed made me smile because BeFriends is one of the very few projects at scale that had a smart contract that brought people value besides the collectible. There was the collectible of my characters, but it was also a 3-year ticket to a conference. When I heard what you were doing here, those 25 NFTs are not just a memorial or memento or collectible. It has real life utility. And I think as people bring utility to the smart contract against the collectible, then NFTs are going to start making more sense to normal people. It's going to seem like a credit card or a ticket or a club card or a membership card. And so that will evolve over time. And I think, for real estate, there's a lot of, for people that are marketing to real estate agents, all of a sudden the pass, I see NFTs being the password to a closed environment of information. The tickets to this event could in theory be an NFT. And so things like that, access.
Now, referrals in our world is the number one lead generation. If you got referrals, you're done, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the future of lead generation, if you put referrals on the side, where do you think it's going?
Well, I think this is why I want people to get ahead of the referrals are happening more and more online, which is at the advantage of the platforms, Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and on and on. So, I think the future of referrals is they're going to cost more money. That's the future. The percentage breakdowns, are going to cost more money. The referral is very valuable. And right now in some places it could be 50-50, but if somebody said, I'm taking 90 and giving you 10, people are going to say yes, because they're just being handed business.
Sure.
So I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a squeeze because of technology. And this is, again, a bigger reason why I build a personal brand, because then you can combat being at the mercy of referrals.
Absolutely. And you talked a lot about attention today, where the attention is. Now, if you think about Generation Z, the real estate industry, what's unique about their buying process and decision making?
I think they're using things like TikTok for search. That should catch everyone's attention. You've had an entire 2 generations use Google for that. Now you've got Bing incorporating AI with ChatGPT. You've got TikTok becoming a bigger search forum for Gen Z. And so, they're more visual. They want the content and information to be more entertaining than just literal. And I think that's going to change the dynamics and again becomes another reason why I'm beating this drum for content creation and personal brand building.
Yeah, absolutely. Now today in the UAE, especially, we're enjoying a very healthy real estate cycle. Everybody's winning. The market is really hot.
Yes.
How do you anticipate change? Real estate is cycle. It's a cycle. It won't last forever this way. So how real estate brokers anticipate change?
Saving their money. I think real estate brokers a lot of times think the good times are always going to be happening, and they themselves are, they're giving advice to people to not buy a home that they can't afford, and then they themselves are doing it.
Yeah.
I've always found that to be very funny.
Yes.
I think again, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but one of the great things about building personal brand through social is when the market goes smaller, you get a bigger piece of the pie. The real estate market is not as flourished as it is here in a lot of parts of the US.
True.
Yet, over the last 6 months, the amount of inbound direct messages and emails I've gotten thanking me so much, because even though the market's down, they're growing because they're the ones people know, because they're getting the followings on TikTok and YouTube Shorts has been pretty profound. And so I think, look, there's never a good time to do bad behavior, and there's never a bad time to do good behavior. And so the more people put the deposits down now on executing on the model of creating demand, which I believe is being done through social media at scale right now, the more likely they'll be able to deal with the storm in 3, 7, 10 years, or whenever the inevitable down market happens, right? I'm talking to some people in line and here, well, we're this. Well, I'm like, China was that. 7 years ago, China you couldn't be a bad real estate broker in China, and now they just overbuilt. There's a lot of cranes in Abu Dhabi and Dubai right now. There's a lot of building, and eventually that math plays out. It might be 7 years, it could be 15 years, but eventually the math plays out. It always has, from New York to London to Shanghai. And so I highly recommend people be thoughtful during the good times so they can survive the bad times.
Now, accountability and gratitude.
Yes.
In an industry of rejection.
Yes.
What are your insights?
Well, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I think one of my favorite things about real estate brokers is they are in the business of getting micro losses. They do taste it. Even my sister's all sad. Actually, she's handling it really well. She just lost a very big deal at 11:59:59, at the last second. And you know this, and everybody who's watching knows this. So I think gratitude is just being grateful for what you have versus what you don't have, because if you focus on what you lose or what you don't have in real estate, you're going to be very anxious and very upset very quickly. Accountability, back to that 11:59:59, there isn't a deal on earth that someone couldn't have done something better. Maybe you took it for granted and you didn't stay on it. Sometimes you can't control it, but there's always something you could have done better, even when you didn't control the outcome. And so, I think accountability is very powerful. And I think when you have gratitude and you have accountability, you start getting into a very interesting place where you're not bothered by anything because you're happy for what you got versus what you don't have. And you realize everything is on you and it's your fault, which creates a scenario where you're not feeling not in control. It doesn't leave much left to upset you. And so there are two things that most people do not carry. Most people on earth do not have enough gratitude for what is going well. And most people on earth are not accountable at a high enough level. And I believe that is a real substantial framework to why so many people struggle with anxiety and depression. And I think that we need to champion and talk more about those two things.
Amazing. And to finish, the question we always ask our guests: what would Gary Vee do to sell a house?
Well, the Gary Vee today would just post it on his social media and he would sell a lot of houses. If I was starting from zero and I was who I was in 2006, before anybody knew who I was, I would follow everything I just said on stage in this interview. Tomorrow, if I was able to get my first listing, I would make 50 to 100 pieces of social media content and post them organically with no followers. Unlike the last 10 years, these last 2 years, you can have no followers and get people to find you and see you. I could literally not have a TikTok account, download TikTok, make a video about my listing and actually get 10,000 views. That is a phenomenon. That has not happened since early Facebook fan pages in 2010. It has been a long time where somebody who's watching right now has not started and their first video can actually create a huge impact. So that's what I would show.
And don't worry about what are people's opinion. Don't worry about the content being perfect. Just do it.
Yeah, I think that was the big theme on stage today. Like, the reason people are not posting is they're insecure. We've got to figure that out because everyone's always going to have something to say. And the reality is it doesn't mean it's true. And most of all, you need to be detached of the positives and the negatives so that you can actually do. And unfortunately, most people are so hungry for the affirmation, it makes them vulnerable for the destruction. And we need to think about how to create more mental frameworks that don't value the love and don't value the hate, which allows them to be happy.
Gary, such a pleasure to have you at Aldar Experts.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you soon.
Hope so.